And we're recording, so good deal. All right, well, I'm excited for those of you that are here tonight and those of you that may be watching the recording afterwards. This is the first of hopefully many calls of a chance just to talk about oils and just health and business from a guy's perspective. A lot of the other stuff is from our wives or from other women that are involved with it. And we just wanted a forum for us guys to be able to talk, because something that we're not very good about as guys is talking about our health and taking care of ourselves. And so hopefully this is maybe a first opportunity to do that a little bit, and just to be able to see some faces, to maybe meet some guys that maybe you haven't seen before. So the idea tonight, we're going to keep to about an hour or so is the goal. And we're just going to talk about kind of our stories. How did we get involved, and how do we use our products? And we're going to talk about the business side. And so I think for a lot of guys, that's attractive is how the business side works. And I know for me, which I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that's part of what got me interested was seeing this business opportunity here. So that's the idea for tonight. There's nothing super structured about it. We want it to be casual and conversational. So I've asked a couple of my friends to come on here, Bill Shoemaker and Christian Portwood, and you're going to get a chance to hear from them here in a few minutes. So that's really it. So like I said, it's meant to be really casual. So feel free to unmute yourself and speak up, or type a question in the chat if you've got any questions or things to add. And that's really it. And in about an hour or so, we'll cut it off. So I've already very, very briefly introduced them. But Christian Portwood and Bill Shoemaker, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves here in just a minute. But I think an interesting way to introduce yourself is if you'll just share a little bit of your story. How did your family get involved? What was it that opened the door a little bit to Young Living and kind of this world that we're involved in now? Christian, you want to?
Yeah, I'll go first. It's been 8 years that we've been using the oils. And I am reminded that every day, because my 10-year-old now is the reason we started. When he was 2, which is young, he had severe allergies, especially well, it's all sorts of stuff the poor kid was allergic to, unfortunately. But it ended up being in very big respiratory problems, where we were in the hospital. When it got its worst, we were in the ER 3 times in 1 week in November. And he was our second child at the time, and that puts a strain on you. And so we tried everything that the doctors recommended, and in my opinion, our son looked worse than when he started. And so when you're desperate, your ears are open a little more than they usually are. And one of Heather's friends said, "Hey, this has good results. You should maybe try this on your son that has the respiratory issues." And we said, absolutely. So we tried it, and with the chronic respiratory, we were on everything. We were on nebulizers. We were on albuterol. We were on steroid pills. It was and the poor kid was suffering. And so we used the oils, and at that point it was just peppermint. Someone gave us peppermint. And we used peppermint on his feet and on his chest. And within just a few days, that night we saw results, but within a few days we saw excellent results, where not only was his health getting back, but his personality was. In just a few short days, a child that always was reserved and tempered was laughing and having fun and feeling good. And it was shocking to me and to Heather. And so that was really the introduction for Heather and I. It's just simply using peppermint on a sick child and having by far the best results that we had had using any other form of medicine. So from there, we tell that story of, to anybody that'll listen, And then accidentally, a year and a half or two later, Heather had an accidental business that was something we had to pay attention to. And then that's really where the journeys just began for us. And it's multiplied itself over and over and over again, many, many times. So that's the short intro for how I initially got started and how we had such excellent results with the oils immediately.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Phil, what's your story for getting started?
Yeah, for us, it was somewhat similar. We actually had a young daughter, our younger daughter, Abby, who's now 10 or almost 10. She was dealing with really bad eczema as well. And we had gone through a lot of the same similar stuff, where nebulizers, albuterol, steroid cream. We'd pin her down. I joke now that it was like wrestling an alligator to try to get her to, do the treatments. And, you just get to the point as a parent where you're like, whatever hair I had left, I was pulling it out. I'm like, this is horrible. And it was actually some mutual friends of the Portwoods that mentioned to Nikki to try some of the essential oils, and she brought it home. I thought she was crazy. I'm like, all right, you want to go in there and slather some oil on our daughter? It's not going to help, but go for it. And it was kind of this thing that Nikki would go do, and I couldn't deny the results. I mean, it happened so quickly that it got me going. That actually worked. How what happened? And we got rid of the nebulizer, the albuterol, the steroid cream, and then she said, "Hey, you can use these oils to treat your respiratory issues, the allergies that I was dealing with." And that's when I really became a believer in this, is that I saw it work for myself, because I was rotating Benadryl, Zyrtec, I can't even remember all the names at this point, the nasal sprays, all of that stuff. I got off all of that and have been using essential oils for the last 6 years.
That's awesome. It's funny that, I've talked to you guys, but I don't know that I've at least thought about your stories in a while, and listening to you, realizing how similar it was to our story. Because for us, we had our youngest at the time was probably 14 months old or so, and was really sick. And we take him to the doctor. It was one of those things that they just said, there's really nothing we can do for him. It'll eventually pass. You're just going to have a miserable several days until he finally gets over it. And just as a parent, that's awful. Like, your kid doesn't feel well. It's not fun because you're not sleeping and you're dealing with a crying baby all night. And so Whitney had a friend of ours that we've been talking to her for a while about the oils, but we were not really naturally minded at all. And so we were she would talk about them, and we'd say, that's great. That's your thing. Go do your oils, but that's kind of weird for us. And it was kind of our moment of desperation, that we really didn't have any other options. We could just suffer for the next few days, or we could just say, we might as well try it. It's not going to hurt anything. And I say we, it was really more Whitney, and I was like Phil, that I was kind of the opinion of, we got some olive oil in the pantry. You can go rub on him. If it makes you feel better, I'll go get the oils, and you can try them. And that night, after putting the oils on him, I can't remember what it was now, but I think it was like some RC for the respiratory stuff. I think it was maybe Peace and Calming and some lavender. And he slept that night, all night long. And we looked at each other and we're like, it's just a coincidence. There's no way that worked. But sure enough, it did. And my wife was completely sold at that point. It took me several months to finally come on board with it. But that was our introduction to it. It was just that experience of how well they actually worked. I don't know. I know for me, like I mentioned, I was pretty resistant to it at first because I thought it was really weird. I felt like it was, hippie plant juice, and we were just throwing our money out the door. And I'll tell my story here in a few minutes of how I finally came around. But I'm just curious from you guys if it sounded Christian that you were pretty on board from the start. Did I hear that right, or did you have any kind of skepticism about it?
I was on, the results were so undeniable. No, but there was a process period for me. I didn't personally start using them at all, really, for a year or more, maybe 2 years after, because I thought I really thought they were expensive. That's all I could think about. I thought they were expensive, but the results made me curious. And so our journey began with, can I do $100 order? Yeah, we'll figure it out. And then 6 months later, can I do a $200 order? Well, and so just gradually, with the presence of the oils in my house and my wife using them daily, it changed me. And so now, so then it went to $300, and now it's much more. But with the presence of them in your home and using them like you're supposed to, applying them to yourself, your children, your wife, it became something that creeped up on me that I can't exchange now, and I wouldn't. But it was gradual for me.
Yeah. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, it was gradual. The allergy piece was pretty powerful to me. I do remember going, Nikki was like best friends with our pediatrician at the time, taking the girls in weekly, ear infections, Abby's eczema stuff. They were texting each other all the time and sending photos of, what's going on with the girls. And he would write us prescriptions right and left. And I didn't realize how much, I guess I kind of would see how much we were spending on going to the doctor. And what really made me a huge believer was about a year and a half after Nikki started using the oils. I was filling out benefits. I worked at Dell at the time down in Oklahoma City, and I was filling out the benefits, and I realized that we had paid $2,600 less that year than we had the previous year in copays and office visits and medications and all that stuff, right? And I thought, this can't be right. What's the deal here? And it took me a little while to kind of correlate it, and then I was really excited. I'm like, man, we just saved a ton of, obviously you're spending money on the oils as well, but I think a lot of us guys think along those lines, right?
Right.
I don't want to spend money. I want to save it.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I had the same opinion that Christian did, as they were expensive. I didn't understand anything about them. I just saw that Whitney wanted to start spending all this money on this thing I didn't understand, and it was very much
bizarre. It's a bizarre thing. That's what's so fun. It's bizarre on the surface, but that's awesome. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, it's true. It's not something that, especially several years ago, it really wasn't anything that was talked about. It's weird. It was weird to use this natural type thing, especially with it being an essential oil. That carries a lot of baggage with it, I think. And I had a lot of preconceived notions about it, not really knowing anything about it. I just saw this weird thing that, to me, other than making my wife happy, it felt like a waste of money, honestly. Really. And the only reason that we started buying the stuff was because I saw that it made her happy. And so that was our deal, at least at the beginning, was she wanted to order. And so we ordered because she wanted to. And, you know, eventually that turned into, I don't want to say she manipulated me, but she's standing right outside the office door looking in at me right now. But she finally convinced me to try it for myself, more than just, oh, that smells nice, or, you know, okay, the peppermint feels good when it's hot, but really showed me how, you know, they can help with issues you might be going on. For me, I had all kinds of sinus problems, and so she finally convinced me to, you know, try some oils for it, try some supplements for it, and we finally found an oil combination that really worked. And that was finally the hook for me. Was I experienced it for myself, and I realized that this isn't just something for her or something for the kids, but this is something for me. It worked better than anything else I'd tried, and it was dirt cheap compared to what I was paying for all the things I was buying at the store. If you break it down, I mean, it was wintergreen, lemon, and lavender, and you know, those are pennies per drop. And so it was, you know, costing me 10 cents a day to do this, as opposed to, you know, 10 times that for the other stuff that I was taking. So that was definitely a turning point for me, and what got me into it, where it became our thing instead of just, you know, her thing.
Right.
Were there any specific products that kind of hooked you in, or maybe in just something that over the years has been a big thing for you, or even today, maybe something you say that you can't live without?
As far as the oils, what are like my favorite go-to oils?
Yeah, oils or supplements or any Young Living products that kind of become a staple in your house.
Well, as far as staples, Ninja Red, we buy by the 4-pack or 8-pack and the singles. It's had tremendous, I think, health benefits for my family. My family is never sick, and if they are, we can get rid of it quick, because I think of particularly Ninja Red, just helping our baselines. So if we're just talking baselines, I think Ninja Red is good. Thieves, of course, is something I take daily. It's not my favorite taste, you know, it's Thieves, but its potency is worth it all. As far as fun stuff that I use every day, Shutron by far has become a staple for me. I order bottles of it a month, and I love it. And I'll tell you a couple more oils, and then I'll tell you why I love them so much. Aroma Life, I've had blood pressure issues since I was 18, and Aroma Life, for me, I've seen the best results for just helping me, again, talking baselines, helping me maintain good baselines. So that's Aroma Life. Frankincense, I, again, personally just enjoy it. And that's what all these oils have become for me, is enjoyment. I don't take them because Heather tells me to put 2 drops here and 4 drops here, and it's because I enjoy them. Valor, I love. That one is one that Heather hides, and I have to find it. But when I find it, I use it. And those are, again, it depends what season of life you catch me in. But lately, I've always have a bottle of Awaken and Gathering on me, and I use them together all the time. And so what I was going to explain, besides the enjoyment part, is the funny side story to the oils, because we always push the health benefits because, you know, that's the answers people are looking for. But what it has made me discover is the emotional power of the oils, especially all those fun grounding oils. It helps me out emotionally. And I know this is a guy's call, but that's my favorite part of them. It's a superpower as far as I'm concerned. And again, just baseline emotions. I can get through my day happy and full of life and share that with other people. And I give in big credit parts to just supporting my baselines. And those are some of the oils that I do that with.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think maybe it's a little abnormal to talk about emotions as a guy. Not that it shouldn't be, but
the best dudes in the world are the most emotional. I promise you that.
Yeah, and talking about supporting your baselines. I mean, all the stress that we feel, or the frustration, or just feeling lethargic. All of that are
or the subconscious stuff. The
Yeah.
stuff you're not even aware of in your mind.
I mean, all of that is chemical processes in our body.
It is.
And if our body's healthy, if we're taking care of ourselves, if we're using things that support our different body systems, and we're eating well, and we're using oils that help support all of our body systems, we're going to function better. We're going to feel better. We're going to be in a better mood for our family. We're going to be more productive at work because our mind's focused and we're not distracted by whatever we're feeling inside. And so that's a huge part. I think that's a little more difficult to pin down than just to say, oh, my arms are sore, so I'm gonna put some peppermint or some deep relief on them. But that's a huge part of it is just not getting caught up in the fact that I'm using this because it's supposed to help me emotionally. At least to me, that's weird to think about and to say, but just to say,
look up in a book what your emotions are and take that oil because that's what helps your emotions.
So we have a book that's all about emotions, and not to get too off track, but we have Nitobi. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It's not important. But one of the things that it said that I needed was purification, which was weird because at least all we use purification for typically is like, we'll put some in the trash can or we'll put some in stinky shoes. I was like, what in the world is this? So I looked it up in this emotion book, and it was for anger. I didn't feel angry, but I'm like, okay, that's weird. The best part, it said for anger, you put purification on your nipples.
Oh my gosh.
So,
could you show us how that's done on this call?
What's that?
Could you show us how that's done on this call?
Yeah, we're not sure how to apply that.
Later. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
So, it's just to be honest, it can get weird. I mean, there's nothing, at least in my mind, I can never get comfortable with the fact that I'm feeling angry, so I need to rub purification on
your nipples.
But the don't get your head stuck in that. Just try it. Just, if you're feeling stressed, use some stress away. Like, don't get super weird about it. The oils they influence our body, and that they can bring us back into balance. We'll feel better, and we'll be better for our family, and we'll be better for our jobs.
And you're not just a physical body. That's the point. You're not, you're saying without saying it, you're layered. Not just your physical body and what you input it and what you put into it, but your emotional being and your spiritual being. And somehow those oils can penetrate all three areas. They're wonderful. Obviously, I've become a big fan, but it's because of the results.
Yep.
My life is better because of them. There's no doubt.
Phil, do you have any go-tos that you use on a regular basis?
I do, yeah. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Allergies, but it's comes in a pill format, and I take that daily. Started with BLM before that, and I actually will rotate them or take one Allergies a day, one BLM later on in the day. But it helps. I played college soccer, and my ankles are shot. I walk upstairs, and I could hear my ankles clicking, and then they kind of lock up at different points. And so I know my cartilage is worn there, and it's. I actually was starting to take glucosamine before we got into the oils, and I understood what Allergies and BLM were. And shifted over to that because it's, these products are much better for your body holistically. And if I forget to take it, I notice it within a day. And I'm like, oh, I travel quite a bit for work, and there are times where I forget to bring it, and it's painful getting in the car to drive 4 hours or getting on a flight, and I'm like, oh, my ankles. So Allergies, BLM are huge for me. I use Fennel for allergies. So I take this right here, and I just drop it into vegetable capsules. Take it like a pill during in the spring mainly. And I love black licorice. It tastes like black licorice. So that is huge for me. And then the Thieves Spray. I use Thieves Spray in so many different ways. I guess you're not necessarily supposed to spray it in your throat, but anytime I start to feel tickles and that kind of thing, I do that. I'll do it if I'm on a plane, if people are coughing around me. I'll just do that to kind of protect myself from a respiratory standpoint. And then I also spray it in my shoes because my shoes get kind of nasty smelling. So many different uses for Thieves Spray.
Yeah, Thieves is a big one around our house as well. Like something that, our role as guys a lot of times we want to be the protector and the provider of our families, and that's the role that God has put us in, and that's where a lot of us are drawn to. And I think this is, Thieves is a perfect example of that. Being a guard of what comes in our house. If you're not using Thieves now, go look under your sink or wherever you keep your cleaning stuff, and just look at some of the ingredients that's in that. Or if it has a poison control label on it, there's something in there that's not good for you, and you're cleaning your floors with it, and you're cleaning all these surfaces that you touch. It's you'll get a cutting board out and you'll wipe it down with a Clorox wipe, and then you'll throw some chicken on it for dinner. You can say that, why does it matter? Because we're not eating it. It's getting in you. It is. And so that's part of our job is taking care of our families and the stuff that we bring into our house. And that's one of the reasons why I love the Thieves so much, is it's allowed us to get rid of a lot of that junk that's maybe we don't even think about that we're using because it's so normal just to go buy bleach or 409 or whatever it is you use to clean your house. That's been a huge one for us, is being able to get rid of a lot of those chemicals that, even though I hope none of my kids would drink bleach, but they touch the floors, they touch the counters, they touch all the stuff that you're cleaning it with, and that gets in your body. So Thieves is a huge one. Another one, a big thing for me is I have four kids. My twins just turned 7, and then I have a son that's 6 and a daughter that's 19 months. And I'm tired. They wear me out. I love my kids, but they wear me out. And so energy is a huge one for me. This was kind of a sleeper one for me, amino-wise, because it's if you read about it, it's at least to me, I took it as this is for like athletes. This is for people that need extra support. I never would have thought of taking an amino acid supplement. I'm not trying to be a professional athlete. I'm not running 50 miles a week or hitting the gym every day, but we got it. Just when new products come out, we always get them because we want to try them so we can answer questions and tell people about them. And so I tried it because we had it, and I feel so much better on this. Like, it's helped my energy levels like crazy. It's been a huge one for me. And so that one's one that we always order 2 of those every month just to make sure that we don't run out of it.
I'm gonna start feeling some of Nikki's.
It's good, and it actually tastes good too. A lot of supplements, especially powdered ones, they sometimes don't mix well, or they just taste kind of chalky, or they're not great. But this one actually tastes really good. It's flavored with the wolfberries, so the same stuff that's in Ninja Red, and so it has kind of that. I hate to call it fruit punch, but I don't know what else to call it. Like that cherry kind of sweet flavor to it. So that's definitely a big one for me. So yeah, that's a big deal is making sure that we take care of ourselves, because even if you're a guy that you don't want to put the energy into your own health, just taking care of yourself, your family is a big deal. I mean, just being there so you can be present mentally and emotionally and physically is huge for your family. And so even if you feel like, you know, I don't have any problems or I don't need to take care of my health, I'm fine, you should at least, you know, be thinking about how can I be more available, more present for my family. And I know for me, that's been a big part of the oils and the supplements that I use every day, because it helps me. It helps my energy levels. It helps my mental clarity. It helps me to not get so frustrated. And you know, it's nice to have evenings when you can hang out with your family and have fun and not come home or be too tired or you get frustrated because you had a stressful day at work or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Hey, there's a question in the chat, Jeremy, asking if you mix amino wise with anything.
Yeah, I just mix it with water. I know I've seen people that, you know, will do it with some protein powder. If they're already doing some other kind of shake. Sometimes I'll just put it in a shaker bottle with water. It's sweetened with stevia, so it's not like some like protein powders, you want to do it with milk just because it's super gross with water. Amino wise isn't like that. It tastes good on its own, so I mix it with water. If we're using Ninja, yeah. So we're like Christian mentioned, we're like the Portwoods. That's something else that's on our order every month. I'll just take it in a shot glass every morning, just a couple ounces of Ninja Red. And
yeah, we do the same. We line up 4 shot glasses in our house on the counter. We make our daughters take a shot of Ninja in the morning. Nikki and I do a little bigger shot. Start your morning with the shot glass. Just put Ninja in it.
Right. Yeah, I know for me, it's one. So I found with a lot of supplements that there's certain ones that I can feel right away. Like for me, amino wise is one of those. Like it's like, you know, drinking espresso. I mean, I can just feel it after I've taken it. And there's others like Ninja Red that if I miss a day, I can't tell. But if I miss a week or a month, like my joints are hurting more. I don't feel as healthy. I mean, it's one of those that's just it's good for your body. It's probably not going to fix anything. And a lot of these oils aren't made to fix anything, but they're meant to support your body. And that's what Ninja is for us. Is just to keep our baselines up and just to keep our health up overall.
And that's something else that I like about all the products is not only are they preventative, which is terribly useful, but they can help you win. So you're not just in a preventative mindset where I don't want to get sick or I am sick and I want to get better. You have a mind, it affects you where you can win. You can go conquer things like you're supposed to, and we can go win. And that's just, again, the expansion of the oils in my life. But it's not just for preventative, but if it's for going out and being the best you that you can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think that's what you said. I just said it differently, but
no, that's 100%. Yeah. It's all about, you know, when every part of you is healthy, then you'll be better overall.
Absolutely.
So I know a big part of our story, or a big part of my story, is when Whitney started getting a check in the mail every month. Because our deal when we first started, she said, you know, if I can get my order paid for, because she found out that, you know, if someone signs up with her, then she gets a little check. And so that was the deal. Is if I can get my order paid for, can I order every month? And that was our deal. I said, sure, you can get your order paid for. And we actually said 6 months. In 6 months, if you can get your order paid for, then you can order every month. And I think it was like month 2, she had her order paid for. But that was a big thing. It was probably a year in when I noticed that she was actually getting a real check. It was more than just a little bit of spending money. Like it was actually making a difference in our budget kind of check. And that was interesting to me. That was that was what started to draw me in, is actually seeing that there's a business here, there's an opportunity, and it got me curious to at least start learning more. And so I'm curious from you guys what your experience was with that when you started seeing a potential business here.
Phil, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. So I was really skeptical of the business. I'd read some stuff about Gary Young, and obviously there's all kinds of different opinions out there, and he was a very eccentric, very unique individual, right? And there's stuff that Gary has done there. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't do that, right? But Gary is a really interesting guy. He completely changed the world in terms of how he went about with essential oils and brought it to the mainstream, in my opinion. It took me a while to get there. The whole, multi-level marketing aspect of this from a business standpoint really turned me off right from the get-go. And Nikki was doing the same thing. Hey, I just want to, this is working for Abby. I want to keep buying this. And my goal is to, basically get my oils paid for. And I'm like, all right, sure. And then it was just, we kept finding different things where these products were helping us, and we would tell other people about them, and they would sign up, and all of a sudden she's getting a check in the mail for, $400, and I'm going, how is this happening? What's going on? At the same time, so Nikki's background was she was teaching natural childbirth classes in her home 1 day a week. And I think that's actually how we met Christian and Heather, right? Wasn't that the first time we met you guys?
Yep.
So she was doing that, and then she was working at a Mother's Day Out program. And between those two jobs, we were making a car payment on this car that we had bought. And all of a sudden, I again, going back to, hey, I want to save money, want to figure out how to be fiscally responsible on this stuff. I was going, wow, there's really something here. And then we ended up moving up to Kansas City. So we live in Kansas City now. And at that point, Nikki, I think, had been with Young Living for a year and a half, and she was making more with Young Living than she was at those other two jobs combined. And so when we moved up here, she just kind of dropped the natural childbirth classes and stopped working at the Mother's Day Out program. And she had a full-fledged business on her hands at that point. I was very supportive then.
That's good. Heather and I's story is similar. Again, even though with the results that we experienced with our 2-year-old at the time, we just used the oils. We just used them. Didn't talk about them much really for a year and a half. We just used oils, fine-tuned the use of them. Got into RC, got into Raven, got into some of the good respiratory oils that we even saw better results than what we saw with just peppermint exclusively. But again, we just enjoyed those benefits within our home. And after, again, it was slow at first, but you tell that story a few hundred times and people try it, and it just creeped up on us. She was silver, which is 10,000 a month OGV, her overall gross volume, before we really realized what was happening. And so that translates almost to $1,000 check. And it made a huge, I've worked in a family business. I've worked in my family business most of my life, and there just wasn't a ton of money. So $1,000 a month extra, that was easily 30% of what I was making at the time, which was big, which was so helpful. And then the snowball just has never stopped ever since. And that's mostly because of Heather never stopping. Consistency wins the game in this, especially if you learn how to play the game. which just means you become a product of the product. You enjoy the oils and you act like you like them and you tell other people about it. And it's really, if you can get good at that, you can have a successful young living business. It's expanded our life in every way. Initially, it was the health of our family. And then very quickly after that, even with $1,000 a month, it turned into financially expanding our life. And then the continual use and the consistency on our parts, on sharing and on continually using the oils has expanded our life enough to the point where I was able to, in a very difficult position, almost 4 years ago now, in my family business, what was promised to me and the rest of my family got taken away, and we were left after putting 20 years into a family business with literally nothing, and we left. And it made zero difference to our finances because of how much it expanded with Heather's business. And so I was able to transition through that experience in the best possible way because I did not have that financial pressure on me. And I could try to bless the people that were cursing us. And it's like that in every area of our lives. And again, I commend Heather in private and in public. She's found the best things in our lives, from the oils to our church and a dozen other things. And I do thank her so much for putting these oils in front of us because of the expansion it's given in our lives, to the point now I have to learn other things like, what do you do what do you do? It expands your mind. If you can have a $10,000 budget a month, or a $15,000 or a $20,000 budget a month, what can you do? And you can do a lot. And you can affect people in positive ways. And it's the best investment we've ever made, not only financially, but personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I just posted a link out in the chat. Since we're talking about money, I have to follow the rules and post the income disclosure statement. But if you haven't seen that, it's really good. And I know when we first looked at that, I saw that and I thought, that's ridiculous. There's no way. They're just like, this is them. They're trying to sell me something. It's just, it's stupid money. Like it's stupid money. So if you haven't looked at it, look at it. It's, as our business has grown, and I know Christian and Phil can attest to this as well. It's accurate. I mean, it's accurate. It's averages. So of course, you can fall on either side of that, but they're not making numbers up. And this is life-changing money. I mean, it is. And, if I don't know where you're at, if this is something, you guys that are on here, if you're involved in the business at all, or if you just see this as your wife's thing, I don't know if you're just getting started or if you've been doing this for a long time, but I can promise you that this is legitimate. Like if your wife is interested in doing this as a business, you may find that she out-earns you and potentially quickly. It's a real legitimate business, and that's kind of the epiphany that I had that finally got me on board. Was I was using the products and I thought they were fine, but I wasn't interested in talking to other people about oils. I wasn't interested in going to a Young Living event or anything more than just, I've got, my few oils that I use and I'm happy with that. But when I started to see her business growing and saw that it was a real business, I mean, just to get rid of the whole network marketing thing for a second. If that's an issue with you, forget about that for a second. And think about the fact that if you look at that sheet, you may not be familiar with the different ranks in Young Living, and that's fine. But if you look at those numbers on there of the numbers that are required to hit these ranks. Christian mentioned the 10,000 OGB number. That's a business that's doing $120,000 a year in sales. If you are in any other business, you're doing $120,000 a year in sales, making $1,000 a month profit. That doesn't seem unreasonable. I mean, that seems small when you're talking about profit margin. And then when you're looking at the high ranks and you're looking at these ridiculous checks each month, you're talking about businesses that are doing 3, 4, 5. I mean, some of these people are doing $20, $30 million a year in sales. When you've got a business doing that in sales, the money you're making off of that's on that income disclosure doesn't seem unreasonable. So that was kind of an epiphany for me with this as I look at this and say, these are realistic numbers. It's a realistic business. We're talking about the potential to grow a large business here. And you're rewarded for that.
And it's just a side hustle initially, and everybody has side hustles, but there's not a side hustle that you can get involved with the expense at the beginning being so small, and all it lacks is your enthusiasm. And from there you can grow. And here's the best part. You're not the only earner. That's why the numbers can get so exponential so fast, is because when you add 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people to your group, they're working with you and you're getting paid off it. So your efforts are multiplied 1,000 times. It's the best model of business, especially because of the low introduction rate of cost and the high potential rate of earnings just based on your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
We already have the product, so we don't have to create something that people want. The best product on the market is available. We get to help sell it, and we get paid for it. And it's there's no other model that can help your life as quickly and here's the best part, and actually help other people change their lives, not only physically, but again, financially, emotionally, spiritually. It's such a wonderful gift.
Yeah, I'll say one other thing about, I've been in sales for quite a while now, and I've seen a lot of different compensation plans and models, and I still am blown away by what Young Living offers. I mean, if any of you guys are, run a business, operate, are looking at profit margins and understand what percentages of your profits are going to go into marketing, sales, operations. What's impressive about Young Living is you're the channel, right? There is no distribution model. You can't go buy Young Living at some retail outlet. It's all of your wives or you, right, being a part of the company and telling other people about it. And then when they sign up, it's that direct to consumer model, and they reward you for that. And that's what still blows me away. I mean, if Gary Young and Young Living now as a company wanted to, cut a lot of people out, they could go do that. But that's not the operational model that they've set up. They're being extremely successful with what they have, and they're being very generous in terms of the commission payouts. And they're great books that go into it. Another thing, I have the Oily Tools app on my phone, and I just have Nikki's login because we have a shared account. But if you're not familiar with Jake Dempsey and what he's done to build this out, Oily Tools is now a Young Living app that you can have. I think it's $7 a month or something like that. And you have your entire wife or your organization at your fingertips. You can drill down, see pretty much any metric that you don't want to see. There's all kinds of statistics, projected, leg volumes. It's just unbelievable. It's just at your fingertips. Mm-hmm. And as a business owner, right, you don't have to go reinvent that wheel and go create that or sink a bunch of capital into getting a brick and mortar up and running. So it's an unbelievable business opportunity in front of all of you. us as well.
And besides the paychecks, I'll tell you what else opened my eyes, and I still remember how it shocked me, was the first time I went to convention with Heather. She told me she was going. She went the first year without me, and that was fine with me. And then the second year, it might have been the third year, I finally went. And seeing what a billion-dollar company looks like on the ground is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I was shocked at the level of excellence that they showed in everything they did. Not, of course, I knew it in their product, but then I got to see it in person, how it funneled all the way down. And I'm still shocked. I'm not as shocked now because I'm used to it, but that was such an eye-opening event for me when I was able to go to convention and see it for myself instead of just, hearing my wife talk about it to a bunch of other girls and show pictures. I was there in flesh and blood, and I'm still shocked to this day just because I continually see what they're doing, and it's fun to be a part.
Yeah. Chris asked in the comments about what items would recommend convincing other guys to try. I think the simple answer is what do you use? I mean, what do you like? What's your experience? What story do you have? For me, I tell people, what I already mentioned tonight, I tell people all the time about stuff that's helped my sinuses and stuff that helped my energy levels. I don't know that it has to be any more complicated than that. Is to share your story and, what is it that got you interested in the oils, and what's your experience with it? Phil, Christian, if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I've actually got a good one. I've been using oregano oil, putting it again in a gel capsule and taking it like a pill. And because I've had toenail fungus, again, from, I guess, those communal showers in college, and tried so many different ways to get rid of it. Could not get rid of it. And I started taking oregano oil, and it is this close to being completely gone, which you can't believe, right? So I know there's a lot of guys that have it, that struggle with toenail fungus. Your feet look nasty. Try some oregano oil.
That's good. I just try to, I listen to people, and I try to help them as I listen to them the best that I think I can. And anymore, I tend to go to the emotional stuff. If you want to be the most confident guy in the room, no matter what you're doing, you should wear a shoe charm. And it's not an ego trip. It's the way it balances your body with your testosterone and everything else. You can be the most confident person in the room, whether you're the smartest it doesn't matter. You can be confident in yourself. And that wins most of the time. And so I tend to go that way. I ask guys, how are you feeling? And so I try to help everybody that way, but even especially with the guys. And here's the other fun stuff, if I'm just saying fun stuff. I have never gotten more compliments in my life how I smell in a good way than wearing the oils. And it makes such easy conversation. I say, well, thank you. And I have the oil in my pocket. So I pull it out and I show them, and I make them put their hand out or their arm out, and I put it on their arm, and I make them breathe it in, and I ask them, how does that make you feel? And then I give them a card, and I said, please call me if you feel better at the end of the day. It's just, it's that easy for me anymore because I'm so comfortable with the oils. But again, listening to them, if they tell me, they're working out and they have sore muscles or whatever, there's the Azul cream is great and all that kind of stuff. And I mention it, but that seems, in my experience, it seems to motivate people less, unless I tell them they're going to win. And you're going to win using these. You might have to experiment with different stuff. And I have had suggestions not work, and then we pursue it a little further, and then I find a better suggestion for them. But it works out better for everybody if they feel better, and then they motivate themselves to go find those answers out and take care of themselves. That's really our goal, is to help people take control of their lives. And so that's how I push it most of the time. Because again, that's just how it's impacted me the best at this point.
Is it usually Sutron that you have on, or is there a different oil that you find?
Well, Sutron, the girls are what complement Sutron, which is fun too. But yeah, I always have in my pocket Aroma, whatever I have in my pocket. Especially with the blends. I mean, give me a break. The blends are like a blanket that'll fix almost anything. And so whatever I have in my pocket, I don't think it really matters that I nail their exact diagnosis. But if I can just put it in front of them and give them a card and tell them to call me if they feel better, or if I get to talk to them long enough, I'll get their info and then follow up and say, how did you feel? And again, if you want to get on the same page with your wife, that's the language you need to talk. Of course, and as we've shown, we like the money side of it, and actually the business side is a ton of fun. But if you want to connect with your wife, you ask her how she feels, and it goes across the board. So.
Yeah, you actually bring up a good point as we're closing out here and running short on time. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, how do you feel like you can best support your wife in this? There's some guys that are going to be the front of this and run with it. I know a few on our team that it's the guy that's driving, but for the most part, realistically, the demographics of this business are primarily women. So not to paint too broad of a brush, but how do you feel like you can best support your wife in this so that she can be the most successful?
Phil, you want to go?
Sure. It's kind of been an ebb and a flow, right? A lot of when Nikki got started with the oils, the girls were littler. So a lot of what I would do is taking care of the girls, getting them dinner, getting them ready for bed, taking them out of the house so she could have a class, doing the dishes on a night when I didn't feel like it was my turn to do the dishes. Those little things to just help out because that she's working. At the time, again, Nikki was doing kind of 3 jobs, and it was pretty tough. Now, that she's kind of just focused on this. I have my job. I'm working, 40 to 60 hours a week typically, and I try to just encourage her, have positive thoughts, and when I'm traveling and I get back, try to take a little load off. And then I also, like I was mentioning the oily tools, right? Just I'm a very mathematical, strategic mind guy. I suck at art. I can't draw or paint to save my life, but I love numbers. And, so I love to look at the organizational team, trying to figure out, hey, where should we be focusing time? And, it looks like this person is really working their tail off. How do we support them? And, kind of looking at the business from that side. Because Nikki's great at connecting with people, but she doesn't love the strategy and the analytical side of things as much as I do. So. How about you, Christian?
Yeah. Well, especially Phil's, that's just such a great example because usually guys have different gifts than the girls, and we want to, help with our gifts. And lots of times, especially once the business, because this is how it usually takes place. She starts making 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 a month, and it keeps increasing. So our paychecks stay the same every month, mostly, and hers keeps growing 10%, 40%, 50%, and we're talking monthly sometimes. Okay, and so our gifts, we want to help with our gifts. But I'll tell you what in my opinion, what your greatest force is, or your gift is, accepting the oils in your house. So instead of being a force of even skepticism or straight out rejection, if you can settle in yourself and accept the oils in your house, I think that'll open up your wife's business and then your involvement in her business. Because for such a long time, even when I tried to be helpful to her, there was some resistance there. But when I finally just accepted what the oils were and the part they play in our lives, I thought that had the greatest benefit in her business. And then my gifts just kind of showed up where they naturally fit in the correct time. And again, there's been ebbs and flows, and I've made a bunch of mistakes. We both have. But in general, if I have that philosophy about it, and so that makes everything easy. Like Phil said, watching the kids makes the kids easy. You've accepted it. You've accepted the role of the business in your life. If it's doing more laundry or dishes, or if it is even worse than that, you're having 20 girls at your house and you're watching kids in the bedroom, or you go so. I mean, so the sacrifices are there, but if the attitude, I think, is the biggest thing that has made a difference in our lives, and it's just simply accepting them, and then because once you do that, it's fun. All of it's fun, and that makes it all so worth it. And then you will personally become a product of the product. You'll be fighting your wife over oils and asking her where she's hiding stuff, and you need to know where they're at. And it just makes life more fun. And so that's probably, it's not nuts and boltsy, but big picture, that's what I recommend.
Yeah, and I'll definitely echo that. The first time I tried to come in and help with the business, it caused a lot of issues, a lot of conflicts, because I had my ideas on how it should be run, when in reality she had been doing this for 2 years and she knew exactly how it needed to be run. She didn't need my help with it. And
but you might be right. Yeah, okay. It will never be accepted if she doesn't feel accepted. And so again, that's because I think we can be, my point in Jeremy and saying that is that I think we can be terribly helpful. But you just have to get past some stuff first, where she knows that's the reason it's happening. Mm-hmm. And not so, because we want to make more money and they want to help people. And so if those things start colliding, there's friction. And just don't go at it that way. Just decide you're going to help people as much as you can. And you'll be blown away by what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think for any of the guys that are on here, if, your wife is doing this business, that's the best thing you can do, is just support her. And maybe that means, if you've got young kids, I mean, for me, we've got young kids, and a lot of times that means I've got to get the kids out of the house, or she's going to go do a class or an event somewhere, and so I'm watching the kids. Or it means that I'm doing dishes while she's doing a Facebook Live, or I'm doing laundry, or the just helping give her margin so that she can work on her business, and not doing it in a resentful way. It's like, oh well, I guess I'll do the dishes because you're not going to do them. That's not helpful. That's not going to make her feel encouraged and successful in this. And I don't think I can put it in any better words than what you said, Christian. That it's really just accepting it. And then and at that point, if you do want to step in and help, whether that's just in a supporting role, or if you want to run with this and you want to do your own stuff, which is awesome. Which now Young Living will let you have a spouse account, so she can have an account and you can have an account. Which actually, right after this, I've got to go do an unboxing video, because my account or my kit showed up today, so it's sitting by my front door right now.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about it. So we've been doing this for 4.5 years, I think. And we don't have an Aria, and I bought a kit with an Aria. So
Very fun.
my Aria now that I'll let her borrow for the house. But yeah, it's.
I'll tell you what I think about when I think about not how I can help my wife, but when I think about the experiences overall with Young Living, I don't think about me pulling all the extra slack and wherever I did and doing all the other work. I think about when we went to Paris and when we went to Croatia and when she went to Nicaragua and Ecuador. And I think it's just, I don't, because the others aren't even in my mind. We've committed to a cause, and all the other stuff is just what you do. But then all the other stuff, you just end up loving it. I don't think about the other stuff because the benefits have so far outweighed all that. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, that's good. Well, as we wrap up here, any final thoughts? Any parting words that you want to say?
Yeah. What if your wife's right? What if your wife is right? Okay. There's something physically that happens. There's something emotionally that happens. There's something that with those two in the right place, something in your spiritual life can happen. What if she's right? I mean, and you know what? I think she is. And so I would give her that benefit of the doubt, even if she messes up and she doesn't know everything she's talking about, and you don't take oregano in a capsule, but you put it on your nipples or whatever, all that. It's, what if she's right? You married her. I mean, so give her the benefit of the doubt. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I would challenge anybody who, if you're not on board, try it for 90 days. Commit. Yeah, like Christian said, it's your wife. I guess I'm also making an assumption that all the guys that are on here because your wives asked you to be a part of this. There may be guys who are just interested in oils and the business, and if that's the case, go check out Adam Green. There's some guys that have done very well running this as their business. But yeah, I would challenge you to you commit to diving in to Young Living for 90 days, and I think you'll be blown away, at the benefits that it'll bring to you and your family.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys, Phil.
How about you, Jeremy?
For being on here. I don't know that I have anything to add from what you guys said. I mean, really, speaking from my experience, the thing that opened the doors is when I just supported her. And it wasn't in the supportive way of that. I'm not going to say anything negative about you. It's, I agree with this thing you're passionate about. I may not spend as much time on it as you do. I may not be as knowledgeable as you are. That's okay. But I agree that you're doing the right thing, that you're helping people, that this is a good business for you, that you've done a good thing in bringing this into our house to take care of our family. When you can get on the same page with your wife like that, that's when things will take off. I mean, it'll improve your relationship, your marriage. It's gonna grow your business, and it's gonna strengthen your family. And so, no matter what your goals are, your goal may not be to build a big business or for your wife to build a big business, and that's okay. But this is still going to improve your relationship. It's still going to improve your overall well-being. I'm assuming the guys that have stayed with us for an hour here are not the ones that are putting up a big fight with their wife, but all of us. I mean, me included. I can do a better job. So that's the biggest thing. If you want to see this business be successful and you want to see improvement in your relationship with your wife, is just like Christian said. What if she's right? And she probably is. So
that's good. Thank God for our wives.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. I appreciate everybody being on here tonight. It's good to see a screen full of guys' faces. Usually when I'm on these calls, it's, you know, all these women and I'm the only guy. So it's good to see a call with guys on it. And I don't know that we have anything scheduled yet, but we want this to be a regular thing, to at least have some calls where we can talk about guy stuff. You know, we can talk about health issues that are pertinent to men. We can talk about how we can better support our wives and you know, be better leaders for our families. And so, you know, we'll get another one on the books and start doing this on a more regular basis, because I think it's great that more guys are getting involved. It's something that, you know, this is good for all of us. So, all right. Well, again, thank you guys. It's good to see you. And we'll get this recording posted for anybody that maybe wasn't here that you want to share with, and we'll get another one on the book soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, y'all. You guys have a good night.
Take care.